You vote for Kamala Harris, you're voting for the most liberal president in history by far.
Has Bill O'Reilly not aged in like 20 years? I feel like he looks almost the same. Am I crazy? It's makeup.
And St. George Clooney have endorsed her. Donations are pouring in. Now she has the delegates to see off any serious challenges too. The open convention has become more like one of our British coronations. Clearly, I'm not advising her campaign, but I would say the spectre of Joe Biden is probably the last thing she needs right now if she wants to close the gap on former President Trump. Harris will campaign as a black female leader with a compelling message about a prosecutor against a convicted felon. She's 19 years younger than Trump. Like Biden, she can often be incoherent, but unlike Biden, the words coming out of her mouth are the ones she intended to use. As unpopular as she may be at the moment, her candidacy has the potential to stoke the liberal base.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is he reading from some conservative pundit, or are these his original thoughts? Wait, what?
Gap on former President Trump. Harris will campaign as a black female leader with a compelling message. Probably the last has become more like one of our British coronations. Pouring in is cruising to the nomination. Democratic titans like Nancy Pelosi and St. George Clooney have endorsed her. Donations are pouring in. Now she has the delegates to see off any serious challenges too. The open convention has become more like one of our British coronations. Clearly, I'm not advising her campaign, but I would say the spectre of Joe Biden is probably the last thing she needs right now if she wants to close the gap on former President Trump. Harris will campaign as a black female leader with a compelling message about a prosecutor against a convicted felon. She's 19 years younger than Trump. Like Biden, she can often be incoherent, but unlike Biden, the words coming out of her mouth are the ones she intended to use. As unpopular as she may be at the moment, her candidacy has the potential to stoke the liberal base and win over voters who saw Biden's campaign as an increasing farce. And that's why Trump supporters should be careful what they wish for.
I have suggested that the president should resign. The reason is, if everyone acknowledges that he is incapable of running a campaign, then he's clearly incapable of running the country. I mean, he has the nuclear codes. He has major decisions that he has to make every single hour of every day, and he does not have the faculties to do so now. We are suggesting and calling upon him to resign and do the right thing for the country.
Well, they're right, of course. There are very serious questions about Biden's fitness for office. Some of us have been asking them for years, even as Democrats assured us that he was so sharp he could slice concrete. But acting up in the Oval Office could benefit Kamala Harris, just as the omni-shambles of Biden can only benefit Trump. The best strategy for the former president may be the one he's tended to like the least, to stand back and let the lunatics run the asylum, for now. Later on, I'll talk to Bill O'Reilly about all this. But first, debate, I'm joined by the host of the Habituation Room, Francesca Fiorentini, the former Republican congressman and presidential candidate Joe Walsh, the co-host of Verdict with Ted Cruz, Ben Ferguson, and the host of Part of the Problem podcast, Dave Smith, and Chris Mowry from Chris and Harry Unplugged. Now, Ben, I know you've got to leave fairly soon, so I want to start with you. Is it in Republican interest that Joe Biden lingers around like a bad old smell for as long as possible?
Yeah, careful what you wish for. I think there's two parts to this. Look, I would love to see Joe Biden be okay, and I mean that from a health perspective, the fact he's been hiding, that we haven't seen him. I'm glad that apparently he's doing better, and he's going to address the nation tomorrow night. At the same time, if he's clearly incapacitated, you need someone to actually be the acting president of the United States of America, not a de facto president, which is what Kamala is right now. Look, there's a yin and yang here. If you see Kamala as president, does it help her campaign? Maybe. But if she's the Kamala Harris that we've learned to know, I think it could also just be a disaster for a presidential campaign. It's truly a coin flip at this point. So yeah, be careful what you wish for in one aspect of this, but at the same time, it's like, all right, let's see what Harris looks like. I don't believe it's a great product. I don't believe she's going to be a great president if she's filling in. I think
what are your views on what's going on in Bangladesh? I have no fucking idea what's going on in Bangladesh.
It's a disaster when you see her on stage, and I think she's unlikable. And the Democrats decided that in the last presidential primary they had with her. They didn't like her. They didn't vote for it. They didn't support her. They didn't give her money. This is the coronation now. So let's see Kamala Harris. I think she's running the country right now. So let's let her have the job.
Okay, I mean, Francesca, I watched Kamala Harris's first big speech yesterday, the one where Biden called in, and the contrast between the two of them couldn't be more glaring. I mean, Biden just sounded like a very old man doddering his way through a sort of call to wish everybody well. She did look the part. I mean, she's very telegenic. She's obviously intelligent. She was warm. She cracked some jokes. She had a few zingers about Trump. And whilst everything Ben has said is true, everything changes when you become the presidential candidate for your party. And there is a chance here for the Democrats to have a massive and dramatic reset if she plays it right.
I mean, yeah, and even if she plays it wrong, Piers, I mean, even if she can just end a full sentence and be nominally coherent, she's a much better option for not just Democratic voters, but I think independents and undecideds who obviously see Donald Trump. They know all the drama that comes along with him, and they're like, yeah, let's go with this. Let's take a chance. But look, I think this is a massive win for Trump. I don't understand why the right's not happier. You guys need to be happy, okay? Donald Trump beat Joe Biden, and not a single ballot was cast. Boom. I don't know why this is not more of a cause for celebration. I understand that your Superman does have a kryptonite, which happens to be black female prosecutors, Tanya Chutkin and Letitia James, Fani Willis, and now, oops, Kamala Harris. But I still think you should just take a win. I love, there's a lot of whining going on, and I don't get it. Like, in no world does, a baseball team get to sue another baseball team because, they put in a left-handed relief pitcher instead of a righty, and they were prepping for the righty. What's going on?
Yeah, but let me say this in response quickly. It's not whining. This is different, and Republicans know it's different because, number one, the media is about to give $1 billion to $2 billion in in-kind donation to the Harris campaign with a 30-day Democratic convention telling everyone that she is amazing. Number two, perspectives change. If you're on the Titanic and you hit an iceberg and there's a really crappy little dingy boat in the middle of the water, that boat looks amazing to you in that moment because it's a life raft and it might save your life. That is Kamala Harris's campaign right now. You're compared to a ship that's going down, and the only thing that can possibly save you is that crappy little ship in the sea, which you'll be in love with for the next 3 or 4 months. So it's not whining, it's just knowing, what's going to happen here.
So I love your analogy, and let me just double check that. Does that mean that Donald Trump is the iceberg?
Hang on, Francesca, let me get Dave to respond to that.
No, that's not what I said, and I think you know that.
No, the iceberg's Donald Trump.
Okay, Dave Smith.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think that there's a lot of relief amongst Democrats right now because they were very concerned with the problems that Joe Biden has as a candidate. The issue is, look, there's a reason why we've all been speculating about Gavin Newsom and Hillary Clinton. And from the very beginning, when there was always a question mark over whether Joe Biden would make it or not, there is a reason why people skipped over Kamala Harris as the next option. And the reason is because she's a deeply unpopular vice president. She has never been a great political candidate. And the reality of the situation is that despite the enormous spin that's going on right now, it is not true that Joe Biden made some decision that his country is more important than him. He fought everyone until the very bitter end. Kamala Harris has a serious uphill battle right now.
To be clear, just to be ultra clear, because conservatives and fashy fucking Russian-paid stooges like this fucking loser will try to spin this in the most chaotic way possible so that they can make the most amount of money possible on the retards that consume their content, right? Biden didn't have to step down unless the DNC could have like forced him to, which would have been catastrophic. Biden could have just held on and fought to the bitter fucking end like Donald Trump 1 billion% would have. So this idea that like, oh, like, you know, yeah, they may blah, blah. No, Biden chose to step down. That's a really, really tough call for literally anybody to make, okay? To literally say, you know what? I'm not going to run again. I'm going to hand over the reins on my incumbency, my presidential election rerunning. I'm going to hand over the reins on that and give it back to other people. Was there a lot of pressure on him to do it? Yeah. Did he initially resist? Yeah, of course. But the fact that he ended up doing it is, I think, is pretty significant. But people will rewrite this as though in whatever retarded, like, pig sloth way they want to.
Try to beat Donald Trump. She's only got a few weeks till convention. I'm not saying this as a Trump supporter who's whining. I'm just looking at the situation in front of me. Donald Trump is the overwhelming favorite right now.
Yeah, I think that's completely true, and certainly in the swing states. Joe Walsh, what do you make of it? And I can't ever remember a period in American politics.
I don't know who that person on the bottom right is, but this lady is fairly based. She's kind of progressive, but still fairly based. She hates Trump, at least. Progressive that hates Trump. And our boy here is uber based.
True, and certainly in the swing states. Joe Walsh, what do you make of it? And I can't ever remember a period in American politics quite like this in my entire lifetime. I was born in 1965. It's absolutely extraordinary, the series of events. The fact that there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump where he was hit by bullets and we're not actually leading with that so soon after it happened is remarkable. But it's a very fast-moving thing, this. And the thing about politics is momentum can play a big part. You know, Trump has arguably, you could say, peaked way too early here in this campaign. You know, everything's riding well for him. He's doing great. The comeback is in place. It's all secure. Looks like he can't lose. But as he said to me on the phone on Saturday night when we spoke, 4 months is a very long time in politics. We've just seen what can happen in 3 weeks.
Yep.
You know, 3.5 weeks ago, there was the debate to come, and Joe Biden was telling everyone, I'm going to take Trump down at the debate. Well, you know, 3.5 weeks later, he's gone. So anything can happen here. What's your reading, Joe, of where we are?
And Piers, I agree 100%. We are living in unprecedented times. I mean, the past 8 to 9 years. 3.5 years ago, a sitting president lost an election, and he still hasn't conceded. And he tried to overthrow an election.
True.
You're right. We had an assassination attempt on a president just a few weeks ago. So, yeah, these are crazy, unprecedented times. Look, this isn't complicated. I don't want Trump back in the White House, but he's winning right now. He's got a comfortable lead. Joe Biden wasn't going to beat him. The Democrats found another candidate, and she has a legitimate shot at challenging him and beating him. I think the factor that all of us have underestimated, no matter where you stand on her as a candidate, is the enthusiasm. There was zero enthusiasm for Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, any other candidate, would have generated huge enthusiasm. That's a wild card. That's all. That's a wild card.
It's a reset. Piers, the whole election.
Let me bring Ben. I know you've got to go in about 4 minutes, Ben. So let me ask.
What is wrong? Is something wrong with my mic? Nope, you're getting audio banned.
This, Ben. I mean, the money's been pouring in for Kamala Harris in record levels, if you believe what the Democrats are saying. 18, 19 million within 24 hours. And all right, you can cast a skeptical eye over the exact number, but clearly the Democratic machine is now pouring behind Kamala Harris. That will in itself energize the race in a way that Donald Trump would not have had to have dealt with if it was still CP Joe Biden. So I think there's a new challenge for him. You know, if I was advising Trump, and I'm not, but if I was, I would say to him, be very careful about going too ad hominem on Kamala Harris. You know, I would stick to her policies. I would stick to her record. You know, this is a woman who believed in defunding the police. This is a woman, ultimately, who was made the immigration czar and said, don't come in, and 8 million people came in, right? So there are lots of ways that you can go after Kamala Harris about her record. I think if Trump tries to do what he often does and go ad hominem with her, it could backfire.
Sure. Look, I think this is a blessing that she is now going to be the nominee, that this isn't going to be an open convention, because otherwise, who are you campaigning against for the next 30 days of the convention, right? You do 20% of the time with Kamala, 10% with Gavin Newsom, 5%, with Shapiro. I mean, this was going to get really complicated. Now Joe Biden is gone. Donald Trump knows who he's running against. It's Kamala. You stick to her record and why she's so unpopular with the Democratic Party. But this is also, Piers, so different. The media, it was so depressed. The Democratic Party was so depressed. The donors had dried up the money for Joe Biden. They forced him out. Some would even describe it as a soft coup, where if you don't resign 25th and you're going to have some serious problems, he goes into hiding.
Soft coup. We're talking about who has the nomination from the political party, the Democratic Party. Absolutely no part of this at all is a soft coup. There was pressure for Biden to step down, but he's not guaranteed. There is no law, bylaws, regulations that guaranteed him the Democratic nomination to run for president next.
Any other country this happens, our State Department say we think there might be a coup attempt going on.
Can you explain why people think Kamala is so unpopular? She didn't fare that well in the primaries in 2020, but I don't know if I would say she was like uniquely unpopular. I think there were a decent number of, I'd have to go back, but I think the popularity for the big progressives was kind of split between, it would have been Kamala, Elizabeth Warren, and I think Bernie Sanders. I think all three of them were very, very, very progressive in terms of how they ran. And chances are you're going to go for Bernie or maybe Warren. I don't know why you would pick Kamala over those two. That's my recollection. It's been a while, but
on another nation. And now we're at this reality. And I think what Democrats understand is this is their lifeboat. This is their second chance at holding on to power. So every mega donor says we want to keep power. Everyone in around the White House that knows Kamala, we want the power. Every congressman that's running for re-election desperately needs a better candidate. Up ballot matters to down ballot races. And every other senator wants to keep power. So they are all in. And that's why every poll that's out right now is completely and utterly worthless. It means nothing. Do I believe that Donald Trump has a lead? Yes, but it's worthless because this is a total reset. It's a completely new race we've never seen before in American political history. It is a race to the finish. It's going to be something we've never witnessed. Now, if you're Trump, you stick to the basics. The economy's stupid. Kamala Harris is Joe Biden 2.0. She's unpopular, and she's going to give you exactly what you just saw for the last 4 years. But he has got to stay focused because the one thing I'll say is the media is going to treat Kamala Harris like she's Princess Diana for the next 3.5 months. They will never betray her. She is now a beauty queen, and they love her.
Well, you can see that, and it does feel like a coronation. That may not be the smartest move by the Democrats to make it look like they've basically ridden roughshod over democracy to make her the queen.
Just to be clear, when they say ridden roughshod over the democracy and that this is a coronation, so Kamala Harris was voted on the same ticket as Biden to be president and vice president of the United States. They won that election. It was a nomination that was won in 2020 for the Democratic Party, and then it was a general election that was won in 2020. It's not, none of this is a coronation, and none of this is just chosen arbitrarily. Like, they won that past election, but...
Hey, Joe, you want to jump in?
Yeah, just quibble on that one point, Piers. Look, a coup is when you lose an election and try to overthrow it. That's a coup. A president deciding not to run. No, hold on, Ben. Let me finish, then jump in. A president deciding not to run is not a coup. And this notion, Piers, of a coronation.
What do you think about Alex O'Connor's pro-Trump posts? No, he's not doing it. Is he too?
Biden decided not to run. Any Democrat could have thrown their hat in the ring. This isn't an election. It's a primary. The primary voters pick delegates. The delegates at the convention pick the nominee. This is not a coup, and any other Democrat could jump in and challenge her.
I'll say this last thing.
Well, I mean,
I'll say this last thing.
Dave Smith. Let me just ask Benny, do you have to go? Can you wait a couple of minutes, or what's your deal?
I've got 3 more minutes, yes.
All right, well, let Ben have his final blast back at Joe, and then we'll carry on the rest of the panel.
I read this yesterday, and it came from an elected official, and it said, quote, if this was happening, referring to what's happening now politically, in any other country, the State Department would be calling this a coup attempt. The president in hiding, president, no pictures of him, letterhead that doesn't have a presidential seal, a signature that's been underlined that the president doesn't typically do, and yet we're acting like this is normal. Joe Biden was...
This is what? Who wrote this? Is he quoting an anonymous source? So what, is him and his friends on Discord cooked this up? Or who is he quoting?
If this was happening, referring to what's happening now politically, in any other country, the State Department would be calling this a coup, and it said, quote...
And then we'll carry on the rest of the panel.
I read this yesterday, and it came from an elected official, and it said...
From an elected official? From some dipshit Republican in Congress? Is that what he's saying?
Quote, if this was happening, referring to what's happening now politically, in any other country, the State Department would be calling this a coup attempt. The president in hiding, it's been underlined that the president doesn't typically do, and yet we're acting like this is normal. Joe Biden was forced out. There was something that happened to him, whether it was medically...
Joe Biden was forced out by his own brain, Ben. Joe Biden's brain did a coup on Joe Biden.
He didn't want to leave. He did not want to leave. Days before, he was saying, I'm in this, I'm in this. And I think this was clearly the cabinet and other Democrats that said, you're either going to leave or we're going to force you out. You are done. And now we've got a president that's going to talk to the nation tomorrow night. I'm sorry. This happens in another country. We'd all be talking about it.
They literally could have forced him out. They could have said, sorry, listen, you got to go. We're not doing it. It's a private political party. You don't have to vote for him in the general. Then nobody's forcing you to do that. You can say, oh, well, fuck it. Well, I guess I'm not voting for Biden. Nobody's changing the votes around or anything else, right? We're not even done with the primary season yet, technically, for the Democrats. Like, there is, what is being cooed here? The coup that's happening is on the Democratic primary? Well, like,
this way, but we're acting like it's normal. This is not normal.
What's so funny about you, Ben? What's so funny about Republicans is that this would never happen because their God Emperor Donald Trump can literally do whatever he wants, and no Republican would ever step out of line to criticize him. No one would step out of line to say you shouldn't be president anymore. And you're so jealous that Democrats actually hold their own accountable. You're so jealous that we'd actually be like, hey, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't run again.
And then all the entire
party right. It's just so funny. It's like if you lose in November, you're gonna run him again.
You tried to put him in prison. You tried to put him in prison. You tried to take his property, and then they tried to kill him. I'm not jealous of anybody that celebrates that.
Who tried to kill him? Ben, who tried to kill him?
A radical young 20-year-old tried to kill him. And everybody's like, well, I love this the other day. They're like, well, what's the motive? He wanted to kill Donald Trump. That's the motive.
Ben, careful. You said they. They tried to kill him. Who's they?
People that hate Trump. People that hate Trump.
Wait.
Yeah, ask him. Good, yes, ask him. Ask him. Who is they? Who are they?
But Ben, careful. You said they. They tried to kill him. Who's they?
People that hate Trump. People that hate Trump.
Wait.
That's what I'm saying. It's very simple.
A 20-year-old kid did it, right? A demented, lonely 20-year-old kid
who hated Donald Trump.
Who's they?
People that hate Trump. They want to put him in jail. They want to take all the things. They tried to overthrow the will of the people in the first election.
Don't let him ramble. Yeah, don't let him fucking ramble.
Walsh. Go back to the very beginning.
Let me jump in. I just want to say
this guy's fucking based. You should reach out. We had a panel on Wick's stream a couple weeks ago. He is based.
We don't actually know the motivation of the shooter, but if you want to look for blame as to how this 20-year-old deranged kid with an AR-15 was able to unload 8 bullets at President Trump, it's because the Secret Service dropped the ball in such spectacular fashion and left President Trump exposed so badly, which could have led to him being killed and should have done, really. It was a miracle that he survived, that the director of Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, has today resigned or probably been fired. So that is probably where my main blame would go, is their failure to protect the president. Now, listen, hang on a second, Joe. We've got to say goodbye to Ben to be respectful to his time. Ben, thank you very much indeed for coming back and Uncensored. I appreciate it. We're joined by Chris Murray from the Chris and Harry Unplugged, and I'll come to CJ Pearson as well. But Dave Smith, you've been sitting next to me here, even though we're looking down barrels of different cameras. You wanted to get in there. You were aghast about something. I'm not quite sure what it was.
Well, look, okay, there's just a couple things here. First of all, I do understand why people object to the use of the term coup. However, for Joe to say, well, this was just Joe Biden made a decision, that's pretty misleading also. The truth is that Joe Biden did make his decision. His decision was to stay in the race. He made this very, very clear. Up to Sunday morning, on the Sunday morning news shows, campaign surrogates were going out saying he's staying in the race. It's Biden versus Trump. Now, it's not exactly that he made a decision. Big donors and political operatives and the corporate press all turned their back on him and said, we are going to force your hand. And essentially, he was forced out. On top of that, look, I'm not claiming to know anything that we don't know. It is incredibly bizarre that the president of the United States of America, a few weeks out from the convention, decided to pull out of the race and did not address the nation. Now, you can say he had COVID. I don't care. He's the sitting president of the United States. For it to come out on personal, stationary, and then in a tweet, he endorses Kamala Harris, and now we're being told we're going to hear from him tomorrow night. That is just incredibly bizarre, and it is understandable why people speculate about what was really going on behind the scenes. The truth is that none of us really know what type of internal pressure was put on Joe Biden, what type of threats were made. So the fact that people would speculate about that, I think, is totally reasonable. On the other...
Yeah, speculate about him being secretly dead, and now we've got to do people agree. Yeah, Jesus. It is kind of weird that there's no public statement or anything like that, but also apparently, I mean, if he has COVID and shit, they might want to not have him come out and give an address while he literally something's going to die. But I don't know the rationale for that.
Other point, the idea that Republicans are would never question Donald Trump. He's their God emperor. They would never think about another nominee. The problem with this narrative from the left is that reality flies in the face of it. Look, there was a National Review entire issue dedicated to never Trump in 2016. Mitt Romney, the previous nominee, came out and gave a speech. Anyone but Donald Trump. This year, all of the big donor money was going to DeSantis and Nikki Haley. All of the powerful forces within the Republican establishment have been trying to get anybody else except Donald Trump. The difference between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is that Donald Trump, however you feel about him, has tens of millions of Americans who love him and want him to be the nominee. And there's no Democrat who has anything like that.
I agree. CJ, who's been waiting patiently. Hang on, Francesco, I'll come to you in a moment. CJ Pearson, can you tell me what brat means, given it's the word that's all over the news, and you're probably the only one young enough on the panel to know what it means, apart from Francesco?
As the resident Gen Zer here, it seems as if Kamala Harris is having a brat girl summer, which actually means that she actually doesn't know what's going on. It's a state of deliriousness. It's a state of delusion. It's like you're just going along to get along, but that's kind of how Kamala Harris has led her entire political career. She's just been
Wait, am I misunderstanding? I don't understand. Wait, what did this have to do with being black or black girl summer? Did I miss something? Hold on.
Establishment have been trying to get anybody else except tens of millions of Americans.
CJ, who's been waiting patiently. Hang on.
Brat? What does this have to do with being brat or black? What?
Francesco, I'll come to you in a moment. CJ Pearson, can you tell me what brat means, given it's the word that's all over the news, and you're probably the only one young enough on the
Was it brat girl summer?
panel to know what it means, apart from Francesco?
As the resident Gen Zer here, it seems as if Kamala Harris is having a brat girl summer, which
Why are you guys saying that sounded like black girl summer? I can't tell you. Fuck. I wish I had a better way to keep track of you guys. It's an album. Okay.
As the resident Gen Zer here, yeah, it seems as if Kamala Harris is having a black girl summer, which
It sounds like he's saying black. I actually can't. Now I can't even tell what he's fucking saying.
As the resident Gen Zer here, yeah, it seems as if Kamala Harris is having a black girl summer, which
I actually don't know now.
actually means that she actually doesn't know what's going on. It's a state of deliriousness. It's a state of delusion. It's like you're just going along to get along, but that's kind of how Kamala Harris has led her entire political career. She's just been a coconut falling from a coconut tree. She just lands in a place and hopes that the American people will go along with it as this coordination has taken place. You know, Dave absolutely hit all the right points. Donald Trump went through a spirited Republican primary process where he knocked every single one of them out one by one. What's happening right now, which is so ironic and so hypocritical, is that the party that is supposedly so against voter suppression is now disenfranchising millions of Democrat voters who voted for Joe Biden to be their nominee. They bully a senile old man out of office just so that they could have a chance at winning in November. It's disgusting, it's wrong, it's anti-democratic, and dare I say it's a threat to democracy.
Yep.
I love and every accusation is a confession. Jesus Christ. How you choose people during a nomination. Remember that Republicans have always toed this line, right? Superdelegates for Hillary Clinton was stealing the democratic process. When people dropped out and then all the primary voters started to support Joe Biden, and Joe Biden was giving positions in administration to Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris, this was also a coup, and this was like contravening the democratic process. All of these things, no matter what they do, it's always a violation of the democratic process. Always. When it's the Democrats. When it's the Republicans, they can do absolutely no wrong.
Oh, you should vote Joe Biden. Vote Joe. You should bring him back into the race. Defend him.
Hang on, let me go to Chris. From Chris and Harry Unplugged. He's also been waiting a long time to get in here. Probably even younger, so knows even more what brat means. Kamala Harris, I mean, what do you make of the new threat to Donald Trump? He's got to tear up his entire playbook, which was to beat an old guy, to now go after a much younger black woman. It's a completely different proposition for Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Republicans and Trump are panicking, and I think you've seen it in the last 10 or 20 minutes. If they want to run, if the PR play for Republicans wants to be that Democrats are a threat to democracy, that Democrats are doing something undemocratic, Donald Trump and Republicans like CJ Pearson want to run on that, I think Democrats are in a great position in November. They have nothing. And to the last point about, everybody in this party has to bend the knee to Donald Trump. CJ Pearson would not be sitting where he is if he didn't go and praise Donald Trump and have a Trump banner in his header. I mean, CJ, somebody who in his primary election that he lost, he called voter fraud against his Republican counterpart. And so, in the Democrat world, we've had fierce debates about our candidate, and it's been hard, but we have values and morals that actually matter over just bowing the knee to one man. And so I think Democrats are in a great position, and she's clearly popular because she's fundraised more money than anyone in political history.
I wouldn't expect to hear anything less from a Democrat from a DNC paid show like Chris Mowry. But what I'll say to this is that Kamala Harris is nothing more than a pandering shadow. And she is in the same situation that Joe Biden is in. She is not running the show whatsoever. And what she'll realize is that Black Girl Summer will not be enough to change the hearts and minds of America's young people. Because under Kamala Harris, what you won't have is a Black Girl Summer. What you will have is a Broke Girl Summer as a result of the runaway inflation that we're experiencing under the Biden-Harris administration, as a result of the record high gas prices we've seen under their administration. Their leadership is absent of any leadership.
Then you got nothing to worry about, CJ. Then, CJ, if you're right, if Kamala Harris is nothing, you should be smiling. You should be celebrating right now. You got nothing to worry about.
Hosanna. I am celebrating. I am smiling.
Good.
I mean, yeah, that's what I think is sort of just incredible about just two things I'll push back on. The idea that it's a coronation. Once again, in 2020, panel, how many primary challengers did incumbent President Donald Trump have?
Oh, true. That is true. Yeah, wait, where was their incumbency challenge? And also in 2024, remember, Donald Trump did not actually fight any of the other campaigning people. He didn't fight Nikki Haley. He didn't fight DeSantis. He just went around, he did some rallies. He avoided every single debate challenge, every challenge to appear on stage with them, because he didn't want to actually contend with any of them either. But Republicans never had a single issue with any of that. Crazy, huh?
None.
And two other
Why? Because he was the incumbent president. This is an incumbency, right? And so the idea that this is like, how dare they all, it's not democratic. No, Harris is the effing vice president, been on the ticket since Joe Biden was elected back in 2020. Obviously, people thought he was going to be the incumbent and run again. Then his brain did a coup on his body and himself and his whole campaign. And here we are where we are. The other thing about the donors, I think it's very funny, because the reason that Donald Trump on the other side picked your boy J.D. Vance, even though he hates facial hair, is because J.D. Vance came along with a bunch of venture capitalists, guys like Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, David Horowitz, to absolutely help this campaign out with all of their AI-funded tech crypto billionaire money that wants to put us all out of a job. In 3 years, this will just be a panel of AI experts, and honestly, God bless them.
Well, we have Chris Bauer on the panel.
I don't think there's any robot in the world that could mirror what you're like, Francesca, I have to say. I think your position is safe.
True, Brat.
It has to be a
Brat
very
over here.
sophisticated AI. CJ, let me just ask CJ, and I'll come to Dave to also join on this. When you look at Kamala Harris, like I said, if Trump goes ad hominem, which is his normal preferred method of attack on any opponent, I think it could backfire. However, there is lots of stuff on Kamala's record, which I think he can really pick her off about. Most notably, the fact that she's been the immigration czar for the United States of America for the last 2 years, when immigration has been running completely out of control. And if I was Trump, I'd just keep asking, didn't you just have one job? Wasn't that the job you had to do? And
Yeah, to unilaterally execute legislation on the border and then...
when she was asked, have you been to the border, she came out with this extraordinary response, well, I haven't been to Europe either, as if that was anything relevant to the discussion. So I think the way she's handled the one thing she was given special responsibility for, if I'm the Republicans, I'm going after that morning, noon and night.
No, Piers, I think you're absolutely right. I think we do, find ourselves, in a hole when we continue to talk things about, her sexual history and all those things. I think there's no need to discuss those things. I think there are a lot of other things that are disqualifying about Kamala Harris, including her blatant hypocrisy. She locked up countless of nonviolent young black men for smoking weed, only to go on the Breakfast Club and brag about how much weed she smoked. This is also someone, as you said, who was in control of our national security as it relates to the border and absolutely dropped the ball there time and again. She has shown that she is not deserving of promotion. The only reason that we are even having this conversation on her as a nominee of the Democrat Party, aside from coordination, is because she's a DEI hire. She was a DEI hire when she became vice president, because he had to get black women on board this campaign. They couldn't skip over Kamala Harris because they were afraid of upsetting black women if they did so. That is exactly why she bided her time. She covered up the fact that Joe Biden was mentally unfit and mentally unwell and mentally incapable of carrying on the banner of the Democrat Party, because she knew that she could not win an open Democratic primary herself. She knew that she did not have the fortitude to do so. And we saw that. It was demonstrable in 2020. She didn't win a single primary state. She didn't even make it to Iowa, Piers. And if you think that if she can't beat Pete Buttigieg and all of those folks, Tulsi Gabbard, you think that she can beat Donald J. Trump after what he has endured, after the feckless prosecutions, after the attempted assassination, then I've got some great real estate in Alaska to tell you. It's insane.
Okay, I want to bring in Dave Smith about one particular point. I saw one of the polls today, which was matching up Kamala Harris against Trump. Significantly amongst young people, a big gap between them. And a lot of that people are putting down to the fact that young people actually did feel that what Trump did when he was shot was a remarkably ballsy thing. And it became a really big social media sort of emblem of defiance and strength and courage and all these things, which were things that maybe young people hadn't associated with Trump. But
Just as a real quick thing, and people are saying, oh, this doesn't make that much of a difference. Everybody knows this. They don't. I see it in Alex O'Connor's post too, okay? Right? After the Trump shooting, can you see Biden scrambling back to his feet, raising a defiant fist, shouting a battle cry to his supporters? This is not what Donald Trump did. He stayed down for 45 seconds, waited for the Secret Service to call all clear, spent about 15 seconds searching for his shoes, and then as they were about to pull him off stage, when he surrounded by everybody, he said, wait, photo up, and then did his thing. This is not like, this is such an inaccurate retelling of what happened. It's so cringe. Oh my God. But everybody has that impression.
Suddenly they saw this image of him punching the air, blood all over his face, surviving an assassination attempt, and they thought, you know what, that's, as Mark Zuckerberg said, probably the first time in his life, that was badass by Trump. How significant do you think the failed assassination attempt is going to be, particularly with young people?
Well, I think that it helped Donald Trump tremendously. I think it's one of those things where it's like I remember going to the opera with my wife, and I've never been to the opera before. But when you hear like an unbelievably talented singer at the opera, you're just like, whoa, that's incredible. It's almost an involuntary reaction. And there is something about seeing someone while there's bullets spraying, they don't even know if they're hit yet, and they're given the fist. Even if you despise Donald Trump, I think most people would admit, yeah, that was a good moment for him. He looked good there. I think to the point that you guys were making before, again, look, I'm a libertarian, and so I already know I'm going to lose. So I kind of have an advantage on some of you guys. Like, I'm not married to either side here, but I think people blind themselves.
As he sucks off conservatives and the right over and 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 over again.
With narratives when they're all in on one camp. And to hear you guys, the Democrats on the panel saying like, oh, the Republicans are in freak out mode or something like that. Guys, you literally just removed your candidate to go with another candidate after years of pretending that the emperor had clothes, while the rest of us were all talking about the guy who was clearly suffering through severe cognitive decline. Finally, you guys had...
The emperor has clothes, while talking about Donald Trump, a guy that's gone through like 20 fucking wives, fucked a porn star while cheating on his wife, and paid campaign money to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars and then lied about it to cover it up, who tried to coup the election, is facing 80-some or whatever the fuck, however many federal or felony charges, who's already been convicted on 30 plus of those charges, who had 3 other fucking court cases. Like, the emperor has clothes. That's on the Democratic side. Okay, dude.
To admit it, you pulled
who has to pick a new vice president, not the same one that he won the last election with. He had to pick a new vice president. Like, okay, dude.
All talking about the guy who was clearly suffering through severe cognitive decline. Finally, you guys had to admit it. You pulled him out there. You're now going with a deeply unpopular vice presidential candidate. Look, good luck, but it's a big uphill battle. The fact is that the spin now is that it was just Joe Biden's age. That was the only issue that he slowed down. The truth is that if you look at every single poll, the 2 big issues here are the economy and immigration. I'm not a kid. I don't understand any of your black girl summer references. I don't know what brat means, okay? I'm a dad in my 40s. We've lived through over the last couple of years the worst price inflation in my life and the worst immigration crisis in my lifetime. This is a major problem. Kamala Harris is married to this administration, and Donald Trump's got a lot of red meat to run against. That's what this election is going to come down to, and it favors Trump.
I agree. Chris, you want to respond to that? Let me get Chris to respond, then I'll come to you, Joe.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a Gen Zer, I just disagree with this. This consistent notion that Kamala Harris is unpopular. Again, yesterday we saw the largest fundraising day in American political history through Act Blue, grassroots donors, $5, $10, $25. Gen Z is excited for a candidate objectively that's younger, a woman, and somebody who's been like a champion on things like climate and gun reform, etc. And I think that Gen Z specifically, as a generation, me myself, I've never seen America at peace. It's been nothing but chaos since I was born in 2002. And we're looking back now and saying, wow, this is really at a boiling point. And what has caused this? And what's caused this is Trump and the MAGA movement doing nothing but pushing division all the time. With the lies and the disgusting, hateful rhetoric. And I think that Gen Z is fired up to move on, to get candidates.
And he's laughing. He just got a whiff of his own fart. He's been passing gas for the past 30 seconds. And he just smelled it. He's about to come in and was like, divisive rhetoric. Don't you mean when they called Trump Hitler over and over again? Oh, that's what he's about to say. I can feel it.
Actually care about us.
I think one of the bigger issues.
Do it.
You're talking about hateful rhetoric from the right to the left, and that definitely has been. It's indisputable. But what about the hateful rhetoric from the left to the right? For example, for 8 years,
of Hitler.
I've heard people on the left,
Piers
from the top down, refer to Trump as the new Hitler, as Adolf Hitler, as if somehow he's presiding over a Nazi-style regime, which, if you're too young to remember, perhaps, but the Nazis killed 12 million people.
I don't know why he keeps bringing it up. You realize that was like at the end of the regime, right, Piers? That was at the end, right?
Including murdering 6 million Jews in a Holocaust. So it's hard to imagine a more offensive or vile slur or more hateful rhetoric than to compare Donald Trump, who's done none of those things, to Adolf Hitler. So do you accept that people on the left have been just as guilty of hateful rhetoric and contributing to the general...
Please! I walked so that you guys can run. Please don't admit... Please, not in front of these conservative cucks. Do not say that the left was just as bad as the right. Please do not do it. Please don't do it. I need you guys to be strong and brave. I need you to be strong and brave. Please. Don't.
Toxicity of the debate as people on the right.
Sure, but I do want to point out that, the person who's actually called Donald Trump's America's Hitler is J.D. Vance, his current running mate. J.D. Vance was someone who is very staunchly...
Her. I need her, and I need him. Please. You guys are my heroes. Like, he's too young. He can't carry the torch. It's got to be you two.
Well, that was wrong too.
If you look at elected officials across the board, Democrats have consistently been the ones to calm the tensions. And look, I disagree with calling him America's Hitler.
Okay, he's kind of saying he just shouldn't have said sure.
But if I call Donald Trump a dictator or a threat to democracy, I think it's almost dishonest to not call him that. This is somebody who tried to overturn an election he didn't win with evidence that he didn't win it.
Yes.
And so I don't understand how it's hateful
to
say that he's a threat to democracy or he's moving us toward authoritarianism. And again, I think that the fact that J.D. Vance is the one who said things like he's America's Hitler goes to the fact that, you have to give up all your morals and all your values and bow to Donald Trump in this party.
Piers, that
let me get a response to that from CJ.
Piers, that's absolutely insane. For Chris to sit here and say that it's dishonest for him not to call Donald Trump a dictator is absolutely laughable. Maybe if Chris actually visited a country with a real dictatorship, he would realize that under a system of governance where real dictators did exist, the conversation, the debate, the discourse that we're having wouldn't even at all be possible. But that's all they traffic in, is all of this hyperbolic rhetoric that has actually no semblance of reality, because they don't actually know how to defeat the president, because he delivered for the American people time and again during his presidency. We had the lowest black unemployment rate. We had record economic growth. We had a secure southern border. All of those things are policy wins that Joe Biden can't brag about. It's exactly why Kamala Harris has to talk about a Black girl summer. But here's the reality. Under Kamala Harris, you're going to have a broke girl summer, a broke girl fall, a broke girl winter, and a broke girl spring. That's what their policies do.
Come on, CJ, stop.
Bring it up. Do it. No, she was going to say something.
100 more days to say that. God bless you. Your candidate's winning. We'll see if Kamala Harris can catch him or not. Piers, just a couple quick points. To Dave Smith, I appreciate the fact that he's a dad in his 40s. I'm a dad in my 60s. Look, I don't belong to either party. I'm not a Democrat. Dave and I probably agree on most policy issues. The difference is I think Trump is a unique existential threat to our democracy. So I'll support whoever the Democratic nominee is. Piers, to you made a great point early. You said we're living in unprecedented times. A month ago, an 81-year-old candidate for president had a debate and showed that he was not at all ready to continue to be a candidate. He was too old. And the entire Democratic Party rightfully panicked. It is a party process. It's not an election. The party convinced him to step aside, and he made that final decision. This is how the process in each party works. There's nothing undemocratic about it.
I just want to say that I think it is wrong to compare Donald Trump to Hitler.
Yeah, Francesca,
I agree. I think it's absolutely wrong. If you're going to compare him to someone...
Is she going to say, like, Mussolini or Stalin? I don't even know what she's going to... She's going to pick some other kind of, like...
It's obviously Mussolini. Okay.
I do write. I write for reality. If you're looking to hire somebody, okay, shoot me an email. My rates are high, but...
Much more of a showman, great jawline. I think that is where it happens. And look, Donald Trump by his own admission said he would be a dictator, but only on day one. So guys, let's just listen to him, take him at his word. So...
But another problem, Francesca, listen. Listen, here's the problem. Funny though your quip just was, and maybe you meant it or not, the truth is, I've just noticed that people on the left, when it comes to Donald Trump, they lose their collective minds.
You know what, Piers? You know what would be really nice? Is if you said that a single time ever when confronting these conservatives. Funny as that quip might have been, let's talk about the truth. Wouldn't that be interesting if people said that more often to conservatives or Donald Trump?
Meant it or not, the truth is, Francesca, listen, here's the problem. Funny though your quip just was, and maybe you meant it or not, the truth is, I've just noticed that people on the left, when it comes to Donald Trump, they lose their collective minds. The reality about the checks and balances of the American democratic process was they were actually very robust. Trump may not have accepted the result of the 2020 election.
To be clear, when you say the checks and balances were robust, kind of. If you want to be real big into it, the reality is the checks and balances were it was in part the bureaucracy, and it was in part all of the individuals involved in that. Right? It was individuals that were rebuking Trump. It wasn't just like, oh, well, the policies and procedures kept him from doing it. It was well, no, technically you wouldn't even say that like the AG assistants, AG legal counsel, these wouldn't even be bureaucrats. These are like elected people or people that are hired out. It wouldn't even be elected officials. It wouldn't even be the bureaucracy. It would literally just be the individuals that were involved that tried to stop Trump at every step of the way. Pence stopped Trump. The last AG, Barr, the deputy and the current AG, all the White House counsel, the staff, people like the Cipollone and the Hirschmans and and his campaign, like it was so many different people. It wasn't just the system.
But he's not in the White House. He's not president of the United States. He had to go that
Piers,
day.
have you read?
Bang,
First
out
of
the
all,
door.
we know-
So the checks and
we know
balances did work.
I mean, I don't understand. We know you talk to Trump
tried.
regularly, Piers. I'm surprised you don't have a white bandage on your ear right now, honestly. And we've read
Fuck, God, she's so based.
all 920 pages of Project 2025, and in it says that instead of the police, the military should be patrolling the
president
streets.
has
The
disavowed
military.
time and again.
That is,
The president
yes,
has said that he
disavowed
does
it,
not
even though
support
every
Project
single
2025.
person who wrote it was a.
Is that actually true? Project 2025, police, military. Is there like a link to the whole fucking document bullshit? She said 900 pages, so I'm assuming there's something. Oh, this is gonna take. Oh, it didn't take a long time. Control F, police. Okay, I would have to read through this way more. I don't see it. Just in Control F and Police, I don't see it, but it might be in here somewhere, but I'm not sure. Agenda 47. What does that mean? If I Control F Agenda 47, is that like a thing? Oh, agenda. I don't see it anymore.
A former Trump advisor. Come on, give me a break. Stephen Miller is
President
an
Trump
advocate.
himself has said that
Are
he
you
does
kidding
not
me?
support
He
Project
can't distance
2025.
himself
We're
from
supposed
it.
to think that you believe more about what President Trump believes and what he has said himself. He believes. It's
CJ,
crazy.
Oh,
that is
you
so-
know
that
what's in
is
his
so-
heart. You know what's in his heart.
If you want to see what President Trump believes, go to DonaldJTrump.com.
Who did that? What the fuck?
Oh, you know
that
what's in
is
his
so-
heart. You know what's in his heart.
If you want to see what President Trump believes, go to DonaldJTrump.com.
how about let's
Agenda
not
Oh, I love
47.
that.
what's in his
Wait,
heart?
I
Why
see
don't-
the heart.
See Agenda 47.
How about this? How about we don't go with what's in his heart and we go with the 4-year track record? I mean, the problem here is that, and look, to your point, obviously the rhetoric on both sides has been elevated tremendously over the last few years.
Both
It's been very
sides.
divisive times in this
Both
country.
sides.
And both sides are guilty
Both
of this.
sides.
Or right to do it, however you look at it. But people do lose their collective minds when it comes to Donald Trump. Look, these comparisons, the idea that he's some Hitlerian figure is ridiculous. Even the comparisons to Mussolini, this is all silliness. Donald Trump was president for 4 years, okay? He did a lot of things bad. I was a big critic of his foreign policy. His fiscal policy was very bad. I do not think he handled COVID well. But these are problems kind of similar to previous presidents before that. His rhetoric is much more bombastic than other presidents were, okay? That's the reality that we're dealing in. And the fact that you guys have to take this up to 11 as if there's some existential threat to the republic that isn't, by the way, you want to know the real existential threat to, hold on just one second, let me finish. The real existential threat to our republic right now is that debt is over, the interest on our debt is overtaking our entire budget. And this is something that Democrats and Republicans are both guilty of. So they don't want to talk about that because it's, you know, it condemns both of them. But the reality of the situation is that whatever happened on January 6th that got out of control, there certainly was violence there. Donald Trump got on a plane and went back to Mar-a-Lago. He was never calling in the military. There was never a chance that he was going to institute a dictatorship in the United States of America. This is all election nonsense. And I'll tell you something, Democrats, you better figure out something else to run against, because this whole Kamala Harris is a prosecutor and Donald Trump is a felon. The American people have rejected this already. No one cares about these charges that wouldn't have been brought to any other former president, okay? This isn't going to do it. You got to have something of substance. You know, the problem is what you guys could actually run against is that Donald Trump was such a disaster through all of 2020, and he kept Fauci on the job, and he kept Americans locked down. The problem is you guys were criticizing him for not locking down harder. So I don't know what angle you're going to find.
Wow, you could attack Trump by just being more conservative than the conservatives are. Why wouldn't the liberals be more conservative than the conservatives are to attack Trump? What a fucking politically retarded statement to make. Like,
the problem is you guys are worse on most of the issues he's bad on.
David, be better than that. Quit saying you guys. Everybody opposes Donald Trump for their own reason. Quit saying you guys. And I'm sorry, quit saying those of us who do believe, and you can disagree, Dave, those of us who do believe Trump is a unique threat to democracy, quit saying we've lost our minds. Come on, man.
Thank you.
Haven't lost
yes.
Absolutely
my
lost
mind.
your mind.
I'm older. Hold on, CJ. Let me finish, CJ. I'm older than you, Dave and CJ. In my lifetime, I've never seen a president lose an election and refuse to concede. I've never seen a president try to overthrow the results of that.
What's Dave about to say? What is the dumb fuck comment? Dave is going to appeal. Dave is going to appeal to outcome. Dave's going to say, well, what happened? He did leave, didn't he? Didn't he leave? It's not like they succeeded. He left, right? Didn't he eventually leave, right? That's what he's going to say.
Election. You can disagree with the severity of that.
Joe, hold on 1 second. But let's just be real specific here.
Hold on. January 6th, 2021. Real specific for you.
Or, oh my God, you're right. Or he's going to say, what about when Hillary called Trump a illegitimate president?
Wait, this is Dave and CJ, I feel like are not willing to look into the deeper aspects. I mean, Donald Trump is someone who's had a whole fake electors plot, sent fake electors to my state of Georgia, and tried to, essentially take the will of the people away. He had the Department of Justice in the Oval Office demanding that they sign a letter,
fake letter,
DOJ header that said they believed there was election interference, and two DOJ officials resigned over that. Again, it is so dishonest when to say
every single time. These are the talking points that need to come up every single fucking time, every single time, every single time, every single time.
Donald Trump was normal, or that people are losing their minds when they say he's a threat to democracy. I mean, he tried and went through every single illegal and legal action to overturn the election. And why people are freaked out is because if you have another Trump presidency where he could install loyalists, all of a sudden those checks and balances
are going to say yes, and one of the reasons JD Vance literally said, oh, if he would have tried J6 with me, I would have come through for him as the vice president. Yes, exactly.
Just because it's not going to be invalidated under a Trump presidency. The Constitution.
Dave and CJ, let me just make one more point.
CJ, and I'll come to Dave and then we'll wrap.
I'll shut up for good. One more point. It's now Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. It's Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. If Kamala Harris loses in November, Kamala Harris will concede and she'll accept the will of the people. If Donald Trump loses in November, he won't and he won't. That is a threat.
Well,
I just want to
okay, but look, here's if I would say, and I want like honestly,
they have not learned their
me,
lesson.
Hold on, let me just respond to.
Let Dave respond, then I'll come to CJ.
So if I were to say right now, I want to overthrow democracy in the United States of America.
Wouldn't I actually send the National Guard? Wouldn't I bring guns? If I really wanted to overthrow the government and I picked a way that was kind of dumb or gave me, that would be dumb, right? Wouldn't I have done it a different way? Wouldn't there be a different thing I could have done actually? That's what it's going to be. That's what he's about to say. Wouldn't I have told the people to show? Wouldn't I have called the military?
And institute a dictatorship. I don't think anyone on the panel is very freaked out by that because I have no power to do it. Like, it doesn't really matter if I want to do it or not. Now, I will kind of agree with you guys. I just thought.
Wait, I don't even know what he said. Never mind. He didn't say it. I don't even know what the fuck he's.
Like honestly,
they have not learned their.
Oh, he might not be familiar with literally anything that happened too. I always forget. Dave Smith is very good at sounding like an intelligent person because he does memorize more like factoids than I've ever seen a person memorize before. But on the whole, he either intentionally misunderstands like entire context or narratives, or he's just too stupid, or doesn't put. Really, he doesn't give a fuck. So he's just like a partisan hack, right? So he'll know the talking points, but he doesn't actually try to have any deeper understanding of things he's talking about, which is why you get an unfathomably embarrassing debate between him and Andrew Wilson, where he doesn't know what the non-aggression principle is. Holy fuck.
lesson.
Hold on, let me just respond to.
Let Dave respond, then I'll come to CJ.
So if I were to say right now, I want to overthrow democracy in the United States of America and institute a dictatorship, I don't think anyone on the panel is very freaked out by that because I have no power to do it. Like, it doesn't really matter if I want to do it or not. Now, I will kind of agree with you guys. I just thought the way Trump handled the 2020 election was terrible. I did think he was kind of using like bully tactics when he called the Secretary of State in Georgia there. But the bottom line is that he had no mechanism to actually overthrow democracy, and that was totally like.
They literally had multiple mechanisms. He just doesn't know. Is somebody here going to educate him? Please. What did he mean when he said Pence needs to do the right thing? What was he talking about there? Please, 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 somebody.
Attempt to even do it. So listen, hold on. Let me just finish, because I let you guys go for a second. Let me just finish making my point here. This is the problem with you guys going to this well over and over again. It was never actually a threat to overthrow democracy. If you want to talk about people who haven't accepted the results of elections, Al Gore.
Oh, then why? Al Gore, Hillary Clinton,
or Hillary Clinton,
yep.
Stacey.
Russiagate. Just say Russiagate. Say Russiagate. Please say Russiagate. I'm edging. I'm so close to coming. I don't know what he's going to say. It's like 50-50. Please say Russiagate. So please. I'm edging so much.
Abrams, they all like have said these were illegitimate elections or there was outside interference. There is nothing.
Is he's really going to orgasm denial me? Fuck.
Look, you guys are listen, just hear me for a second. Consider, yes, they conceded. Okay, so they conceded and he didn't. Okay, so by the magical power of saying I concede, that somehow makes us a democracy.
By the magical power, yeah, of saying it's not magical power. It's literally saying I concede the results of the election. The guy's president, and I'm not going to sit here and claim that the election was fucking fake.
Not a dictatorship.
Wait, he said it?
Okay, so by the magical power of saying I concede, that somehow makes us a democracy and not a dictatorship. You guys are obsessing over this thing that most Americans don't actually care that much about.
I agree. We've got to leave it there. We've run out of time.
He said outside
Thank
interference.
You all very much indeed, and come back soon. I appreciate it. Well, I'm joined now by the host of No Spin News and the author of the forthcoming book, Confronting the Presidents, Bill O'Reilly. Bill, great to see you.
Okay. He said outside interference? Okay, that's good enough for a ruined orgasm at least, okay? Okay. Let me use the restroom real quick and we'll keep writing. One sec. Ooh ho ho. Ooh. True. Okay. All right. Boring time. Back to reading and writing. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Okay. Sorry, Sean just triggering me on Twitter. You gonna watch the Olympics at all? Fuck no. Oh wait, real quick, does anybody have a link to those false elector slates? False elector slates. Is there like a link to, I had these. I know that they're somewhere in my notes. I'm just too lazy to go back and dig for the link. Archives.gov. Thank you. Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Did I just do the wrong state? Oh my god, I think I just fucked all my shit up. This one is New Mexico. This one was Wisconsin. No, wait, Wisconsin full. Pennsylvania. Nevada. Okay, Nevada was one I fucked up. Okay. What's the ETA on this? I don't know. We're just working, chewing through stuff. Okay. This is Chesbro's contribution. Initial memos. So it started with Chesbro. And then Eastman would go on to validate this. Let's see. In early December, the highest levels of the Trump campaign took note of Chesbro's fake elector plan and began to operationalize it. On December 6th, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows forwarded a copy of Chesbro's November 18th memo to Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller, writing, "Let's have a discussion about this tomorrow." Miller replied that he just engaged with reporters on the subject, to which Meadows wrote, "If you are on it, then never mind the meeting. We just need to have someone coordinating the electors for states." On December 6th, Mark Meadows forwarded the November 18th memo from Chesbro to Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller. Did you say Kimberly Cheadle stepped down this morning? Nope. The Secret Service person? Meadows and Miller began to work to gather the 79 needed Republican electors One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yep. And on December 8th, Meadows received a text message from former state legislator in Louisiana recommending that the proposed Trump electors from all these people meet. AR sick. He had the wrong abbreviation for Arizona. BAZED. BAZED. You want to tweet this out? This guy actually looks up cuck porn. What are you talking about? The Venus Cuckoldress podcast. Is that even porn? I have no idea what the fuck this is. Is that porn or what? Is it just a podcast? It's a podcast for exploring cuckoldry. Were they doing maybe he was doing shows or something at the time, so that I'm being too charitable. You're right, I should just tweet it out and make fun of him. Jesus. Okay. Cassidy Hutchinson, a special assistant to the president and an assistant to chief of staff Mark Meadows, confirmed Meadows' significant involvement in the plan. Hutchinson told the select committee that Meadows followed the progress of the fake elector effort closely and that she remembered him frequently having calls, meetings, and outreach with individuals, and this just being a prominent topic of discussion in our office. When asked how many of his calls or meetings it came up in, she estimated dozens. Yeah, but it's by December 7th or 8th, President Trump decided to pursue the fake elector plan and was driving it. Trump campaign Associate General Counsel Joshua Findlay was tasked by the campaign's general counsel on 7th or 8th with exploring the feasibility of assembling unrecognized slates of Trump electors in a handful of the states that President Trump had lost. Findlay told the select committee it was my understanding that the president made this decision. As recounted by Findlay, Morgan conveyed that the client, President Trump, directed the campaign lawyers to look into electors in these potential litigation states. Okay, it's good to implicate Trump directly. According to testimony, let's see. Findlay. Trump campaign Associate General Counsel. Jesus. Joshua Findlay. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Trump campaign Associate General Counsel Findlay told the January 6th Select Committee pursue the electorate scheme by December 7th or 8th. As recounted by Findlay, Morgan conveyed that the client, President Trump, and Matthew Morgan was the campaign's general counsel. Findlay claimed that the campaign's general counsel Matthew Morgan Apple just uploaded a video titled Burning the Destiny Bridge. Over what, the election stuff? Is it a meme? Or is he super mad? His comment is, all the people who commented too fast because of the title about to be disappointed. Well, okay. President Trump personally called RNC chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel days before the December 14th to enlist the RNC's assistance in the scheme. President Trump opened the call by introducing McDaniel to John Eastman, who described the importance of the RNC helping the campaign to gather those contingent electors in case of any legal challenges. Ooh, okay, 36. What is this from? Please be an auto recording. Oh, God, it'd be so cool if this was an audio recording. It's going to be a depo, probably from somebody else. 36. Transcribed interview. Oh, yeah, fuck. Control F. Transcribed interviews and depositions. Ronna Romney McDaniel. Why did I copy President Trump as though that was going to help me? This is on pages 6 to 8. Another AJW banger. Oh, okay. He's a conservative shell. We're good. Okay. Oh, okay. I'd now like to ask some questions about so-called alternate electors, and I just want to make sure we all have sort of the same understanding of what that means. And if you use a different term, please let me know. So when I'm going to refer to alternate electors, these are going to be in states where the state authority declared that Joe Biden was the winner in that state, but the Trump electors nonetheless met and signed certifications that they were electors. So do you understand what I mean by alternate electors? Yeah, my understanding of them was were as contingent electors in case any legal challenges changed the result of any state. So then they would have met as a necessary step in case to meet the requirement by the Supreme Court, but they were contingent in case legal challenges changed something in any particular state. So when was the first time you recall learning about the concept that these alternate electors were going to meet and cast electoral votes? So to the best of my recollection, the first, I don't know the exact date, my memory is that it was after kind of the White House Christmas party season and prior to December 14th. So maybe within a few days before December 14th that I received a call for the RNC to help bring the electors together for this contingent purpose based on potential legal challenges that hadn't been finished yet. Question, and I know it's hard to recall specific dates from something that happened a long time ago, but the Supreme Court rejected the petition in Texas v. Pennsylvania on December 11th of 2020. Do you recall whether the call you received was before or after the Supreme Court's action? I don't recall. I really don't recall when it would be. It would have come through the White House switchboard, so my gut would be that it was before that. Okay, but do you recall there being any express conversation about whether or not there would still be a case pending? There was still a case pending with the Supreme Court at the time. My understanding is that there was that case, but there were other cases as well, so there were many cases going on. Okay, and who was the call from? When I received the call again, I don't remember the exact date. It was from the White House switchboard, and it was President Trump who had contacted me. And did President Trump have anyone else on the line with him? He introduced me to a gentleman named John Eastman. And was it just the three of you on the call, meaning President Trump, John Eastman, and you? I don't know. Okay, as far as you know, though, were you the only three? As far as I know, those are the only people who I spoke to on the call. Okay. Whether or not, I don't know if he was patched in. Those things I don't know. I understand. And I'll just note for the record that Representative Zoe Lofgren has joined us. Answer, okay. Question. So what did the president say when he called you? Answer. So to the best of my recollection, and again, it's a long time ago, he introduced me to John Eastman. I was not familiar with him at the time. So I vaguely remember him mentioning that he was a professor, and then essentially he turned the call over to Mr. Eastman, who then proceeded to talk about the importance of the RNC helping the campaign gather these contingent electors in case of any of the legal challenges that were ongoing, change the result in any of the states. And so they would fulfill the requirement for the electors meeting if it went to the Supreme Court. Okay. should call this Eastman. Donald Trump's direct involvement. We'll call this section. Deposition testimony. Provided to the Jan 6th committee. And this is Ronna Romney McDaniel. Ronna Romney, wait, we would say RNC chairwoman, Ronna Romney McDaniel, said that Trump, along with Eastman, called her to, wait, on or around, we'll say December 12th, Trump, along with Eastman, called her to importance of gathering alternate slates of electors. Boom, boom, exclamation mark, quote. Page 9. Do you remember President Trump saying anything other than introducing John Eastman? I don't remember that. I remember he may have said, I really just don't remember. I remember the John Eastman portion, and that's the thing I remember the most about the call. And to Professor Eastman, when he was proposing that the RNC try to have these so-called electors or Trump electors meet, did he expressly refer to the possibility that there could be an outcome in one of those cases that would make them necessary? Yeah, that was my understanding. I took it as there was pending litigation that could change the outcome of the state. So please help these contingent electors meet in case something happened where the outcome of the state election changed based on these legal actions. And did Professor Eastman give any other reason why those alternate electors might be necessary? Not that I recall. Did he make any reference to the possibility of state legislatures adopting these electors? Not that I recall. And did Eastman say anything about those electors potentially being useful at a joint session of Congress? Not that I recall. And then similarly, did Eastman say anything about the alternate electors providing a possible basis for the vice president to reject the Biden electors? Not that I recall. What was your reaction? It was twofold. First, I called the campaign because that's typically the role of the campaign to gather the electors because they are actually representing the candidate. So I called Justin Clark, who was from the campaign. He was also counsel. I don't know if that's privilege, but my impression from the conversation was that they were already aware of it and they were working on it. And then I subsequently hung up the phone, and I believe, this is again a long time ago, this is my memory, it may not be exact, but I believe I called back the White House to say that the campaign was working on this already and let President Trump know. And at the time, I believe I only spoke to him and it was a quick call. But you spoke directly to the president. As far as you know, nobody else is on the call. It's my recollection. I don't remember Eastman on that call. Okay, and so when you called Mr. Clark, Justin Clark, he indicated the campaign was already working on having the alternate electors meet. Okay, did he give an in? List of names. Okay, this seems kind of boring. It's all 59 pages about this. Shane Gillis podcast invites Destiny on. What is the Shane Gillis podcast?
You'll fucking smash him. You won't debate Destiny. I want to see you debate Destiny. I think you'll fucking smash him.
I mean that I don't have like talking points and shit. I just go
That's what I was saying when I'm saying he's suited for that whole thing. I'm not trying to come out as a Destiny supporter.
I mean, this is what Norman Finkelstein hit him with, though. He's just like, you're a motor mouth. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just a motor mouth.
I want to have him on. But not debate. I just want to see if we can bro down. Be like, bro, save the talking points.
I think he does. And I think he
down?
bros down with like fucking people from Fresh and Fit and shit like that, where like,
dude,
I guess like
there's no way he bros down with Fresh and Fit. That was a podcast that had Wes Watson on where he like,
he does because like, dude, he like fully supports like OnlyFans modeling and fucking being a whore in your 20s.
Beza.
Like, that's his.
Okay. Relation with Vice President Pence. Did the president make any reference? Possibly. Would I do it? Yeah, of course. I'd have to email them or something. I'm not sure. I can add it to my to-do list.